Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Eitayo, and I am streaming from Lagos, Nigeria to West Africa to the entire world. Just in case you didn't hear me, I repeat it once again. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Eitayo, and such a great joy to be here. And today we'll be having a great time on the show. As usual and as always, it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. We always have fun, we always learn together, we always share together. And today is not going to be an exception. Please do let us know as you connect with us. Let us know where you're streaming from. Tell us your name, tell us your location. And if you don't mind, as we have the conversation, join in the conversation. And if you do have questions, please do not hesitate to ask your questions. It's always a great time. We are always joined by experts, strong voices within the education sphere and around the education sphere who tell us their views, their diverse views on any kind of topic that we're having conversations on. And they kind of expound such conversations to a point where we get the best of it. We get the length, we get the breadth, we get the height, we get the low, we get everything about that conversation just to get us informed so that we learn together, we share together, and ultimately that we grow together. And of course, we have our usual saying on the show. We always say that it's always a great morning. And let me officially welcome you. And of course, if you know someone who should be watching the show, do not hesitate to reach out to the person and tell the person, hello, the Good Morning Education Show is on. And we always have people joining us from across the world. We have ambassadors in the UAE. We have people in Ireland, we have people from Lagos, Nigeria, people from Abuja, from Ghana, people from West Africa, people from UK, people from US, several people join us, on the show. And it's always a great opportunity to enjoy. I think I'm seeing someone say something on the show right now. That's Joanne. Joanne, good morning. Thank you, Joanne, all the way from Abuja. Thank you for joining. Good morning to you. And of course, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. And let me just use this opportunity to welcome Safety Chick on the show. Safety Chick, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. How are you doing today?
Safety Chick, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Safety Chick, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm answering. Hello, good morning. Can you hear me, sir?
Safety Chick, good morning. Are you there?
I can hear you, sir. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
All right. Seem to be having some network issue, but if you can hear us and if you can hear me, please welcome to the show and let us know. Say something so that we know that you're here. Like I said, today's show is going to be very interesting because we'll be dealing with a very important conversation, a very important topic that you don't want to miss out on. It's a topic that affects both young and old. I will try to relate it with everyday life and, of course, the profession as well. So we're going to be talking about that topic. Very there now.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me better now?
Still having connection issues. Oh my goodness. Safety Chick, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. All right, so this is what will happen. Safety Chick, just try to reconnect, but if you're reconnecting, I'm probably going to try to head over to the news. And we'll come back and then we'll do the review on the headlines. And if you're there, please do not hesitate to join us. We're going to have the news in a moment. And of course, what we normally do on the news is to review the news together. So that's what we're going to do in the next few seconds. I'm just trying to see if I can still get Gochi back online. She doesn't give up. And like I can do spirit. Welcome back. Safety, are you
Good,
there?
good morning, sir. Can you hear me now?
Okay, let me see if I could try to first, and then we'll connect to safety check. Maybe we'll try another form of internet service. Safety check, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Can you hear me?
Say, hooray!
I've been hearing you since and I've been
Oh,
responding, but you were not
oh, but
hearing me.
I don't want to go ahead without hearing that voice. Oh my God, that's just so difficult.
Good
Welcome
morning,
to the
Mr.
show.
Ritimi.
How are
How are you
you?
doing? How was your
Hi.
weekend?
Did you miss me?
I missed you now.
Hello? All right. So let's have the news
Yes, I
and then
can
we'll be
hear you.
right back. All right. So we're heading over to the news now.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Education Show. And if you're just joining us, this is the Good Morning Education Show, and you're welcome to the show. And we're going straight for the headlines. And if you don't mind, let's welcome Safety Chick once again officially. Safety Chick, say hello to the world, say hello to everyone, say hello to
Good
internet as well.
morning,
And
Mr. Ritimi. Good morning to our amazing viewers. Good morning, everyone. Trust you are bright and up and you're looking forward to a beautiful week.
fantastic, fantastic. All right. So um, I'm sure you want to have a review, some of the things you've seen on the headline news. Do you want to do that?
Okay, yes. So ASU says they're not in a hurry to end strike, and Ngige, the Ngay saying that he has they've met 6 out of 9 demands. 6 out of 9 demands out the past 9 months. Is supposed to. I don't know if it if it's supposed to sound like that progress. I think that really by this time it should actually be over. All demands should have been sort of sorted because time is going and time is something that you can't recover. So, and then I also want to talk about the fact where they're saying ban children of office holders from schooling abroad. And when I saw that, it reminded me that over the weekend, I saw a picture of one of the office holders involved in this particular situation at the graduation ceremony of his child outside the country. And you can imagine how much of an outcry that would cause. Because imagine someone who was supposed to be in final year and who is supposed to actually be graduating also seeing such a thing. It will just show the inequality in the system and all that. So I think that one of the ways to encourage our leaders to ensure that our own system works is to subject them to the system itself. Once they're subjected to the system itself, it gives them that responsibility to want to do more. The reason why someone may not take something seriously is because they don't really feel how it affects them directly. But if they can feel how it affects them directly, so say for example, you say office holders, for all your medical condition during your term in office, you must have it sorted out within your own local government or within your state. It's going to force them to ensure that the facilities are on point because they don't want to die, right? So if you don't want to die, why should other people die, right? So it's the same thing here. If you want your children to have quality education, and because you are an office holder, you are here to serve. The reason you are in office is to serve. So if you are here to serve, then it means that you are serving the needs of everyone, not just of your family members. So create or make sure that as you are serving it to such a high standard that even your own children would not feel that they are suffering for your decision to be in office. They would feel that yes, my dad is in office, but yes, we have good stuff here. Do you see what I mean? So I like the idea because I feel like if it is implemented, it's really going to speed up things around this country. And then there's one of investing in distance learning. I think that's a great idea. In fact, it should begin to be implemented with speed because the world has changed. And then, of course, there was the one of local languages. Yeah, I believe that local languages should be preserved because if it isn't, what will happen is in the coming years, some of our own languages would be extinct. And we do not want that to happen. We should be deliberate about preserving our culture. That's what I have to say, Mr. Martin.
Fantastic. And just when you were about to conclude, KK joined us. KK, welcome to the show.
Hi, good
Good
morning.
morning, Ma. Good morning, Maya. Welcome to the show.
KK, I'm giving out an award this December.
Oh, what's
And
the award?
that award cannot be contested.
Yes,
What's
I know
the
the award.
Oh, you go to your in the spirit, right? It's called the Swagnificent Award of the Year 2020. And the nominees are Okeinfo Ajayi. Second nominee, Okeinfo Ajayi. Third nominee, Okeinfo Ajayi. And the winner is...
Good morning. Good morning.
You Corona, they fear you. Say what? I mean, I don't know if I just want to laugh. I don't go to your page. I'm like, this is my person. It's just legit to the core, man. You know what I mean, man? Okay, fantastic. Thank you for joining. And we're going to be having a great conversation today on the show. Okay. And it's talking about something that probably people might not realize that is actually something attached to everyone. there are two different dimensions to the topic. But even across these dimensions, there are many, many, many things attached to the reality in our daily life. And the topic we're talking about is dealing with shame, dealing with shame. And of course, I know KK from your experience as someone who is an employer and also someone who's worked with people and for people before. And of course, Gochi, volunteering, working with people, consulting people. It's just going to be an exciting show, listening to your diverse views and probably personal experiences as well, where we begin to address this subject matter. A lot of times people easily tend to identify with fear rather than shame. But so many times, out of maybe 10 out of 10, right? Most times, 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 is actually not fear, but shame. So the cloak of fear is actually what we use to replace the reality of shame. So let's talk about it today, dealing with shame. I know within the education space, I know for educators, I know for teachers, for school owners, for administrators, for regulators, I know that many times we are confronted with this reality, but a lot of people have not been equipped to see how to walk through and how to deal with that. So many times, it's even because people anticipate this reality of shame that they have not even experienced it, but the anticipation of or prevention or fear of shame, that a lot of time people just withdraw themselves from giving the best of themselves, from expressing the best of themselves, or showing up as the best of themselves. So today, this is what we're talking about, and I'm sure Ugochi is excited. Ugochi is always excited with topics like this. KK, someone is saying welcome. Joan Teaser is all the coming join us from Abuja. She's saying welcome, okay, phone. She likes you obviously.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for Ugochi to turn on her camera just to, make it just like a dazzle episode, dazzle the dazzle, frizzle the dazzle, man. All right. Okay, so let's talk about shame. What is shame? What is shame? Not just dictionary meaning. What is shame? Let's make this thing almost like let's bring it home. So I'm going to start with let me start with Ugochi. What is shame, Ugochi? When you hear the word shame, what comes to your mind?
Shame is a feeling of okay, you said not dictionary definition. So
No, you can. I'm
shame
just
is
saying
a
that it's not
feeling
restricted to the definition on the dictionary.
shame is a feeling of embarrassment, a feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of not being able to do something, in a way that you had thought and you had envisaged, and you now think that it makes you feel less because of what people will think, or maybe there is a judgment, maybe there is a penalty, and you just that feeling of embarrassment, not being good enough, that you messed up, you didn't do well, you are not at par, Yes, that's just me trying to explain it in my own words.
Okay, so let's come to the academician. Let's come to the administrator. If she's going to administrate the definition and deliver it in such a curricular manner. So, okay, tell us about it.
When I think about shame, right? Shame for me is inadequacy. I feel like I have done something wrong. And usually it's a cultural context, and it comes from me comparing my actions with maybe something that should have been a no, somebody else's measures really is what brings shame to me. So I've done it, but if I didn't have anybody I was comparing with, I really may not have felt shame. But because I'm comparing it with maybe somebody's uh, how they put me on a pedestal, or how the culturally is.
Are you there?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
Okay, so I was saying that shame, it has moral and psychological perspectives to it. So it's almost like I'm comparing what I've done to what somebody expected of me or what the culture expected of me. So it makes me feel inadequate. It makes me feel judged. And I just kind of withdraw into myself because I've done something shameful, something not worthy of Cain, that sort of thing. I'm embarrassed, I'm self-conscious, so yeah, so shame, cha. See how hard it is to describe shame, right? So you're right, Rosie.
Oh my goodness. TT, good morning to the Good Morning Education Show. Welcome, 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 welcome. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. It's a good morning. It's a good morning to be alive. It's a good morning to be in good health. I think we should never take any of those things for granted. So, good morning, everyone.
We're talking about shame today. So we've actually had that round, and we're defining what is shame. What is shame? So, do you care to just help us with that as well?
I think shame is something you would prefer that no one knows. I think for me that's the easiest definition of shame. Something you rather keep to yourself because you feel that if other people know, they would think less of you than they already do. That would be my easiest definition for shame.
Wow, is it deeper or it's getting, I'm enjoying the definition from safety check to KK to TT. For me, I think that shame is a limitation, because I know that sometimes it might be on the two extremes of values. So you can say someone beating someone up is a shameful act. It's quite shameful. Someone stealing is shameful. But at the same time, on the other hand, just like Titi said, something rather no one knows. Sometimes shame is just a limitation, something that you feel that you're not able to match up. A feeling of inadequacy, like KK was saying. And I will realize that for all professionals, especially within the education sector, sometimes the fear of shame inhibits people from taking steps. It's almost like you've done an algorithm, you've done a projection, and something tells you that the end of it is going to be shame. So a lot of times people don't even tend to try things out. People don't tend to express themselves. People don't tend to even ask the system questions because of the word shame. And that's really why I think that there's a lot of limitation in the world of shame. How do we get to help educators deal with this reality? How do we help educators deal with shame? A lot of times you hear so many stories, and sometimes people just blow things off and close their eyes or ignore and don't bother just because of the issue of not knowing how to deal with shame. And of course, I'd like us to even back it up. If we can get to the point to try to realize, when did we even get introduced to the concept of the word shame? I think it's more or less from as way back as when we're much, much, much more younger, like when we're babies, and this reality comes across to so many people. So, Ugochi, let's start with Ugochi. Let me ask you, when did you get to understand the concept of shame? When did you get introduced to the concept of shame? And how can we even get educators to deal with shame?
So I'm thinking about it now, and I don't even know when I got introduced to the concept of shame. I think that it's just something that catches up with you as a child as you grow. You just realize that there's some things that you do that is not approved of. And that period where maybe it was not approved of, maybe you were laughed at, or you were beaten, or you were shouted at, so it just means that, okay, this line of action brings this kind of reaction, so yeah. And then as you grow, it evolves. Because many times as human beings, we get our understanding of concepts from what we see in our environment. So from our parents to schools to the general environment that we spend the most of our lives. And if we are not careful and conscious about changing it, it would affect our worldview as we keep growing, because we just think that is all there is to it. So for educators to become how do educators should I say grasp the concept of shame? That was what you asked, right?
Yeah.
I think that the first way to manage shame is to even recognize it. Recognize it. What exactly is making me feel ashamed in this moment? How then when you recognize it, then why am I feeling this particular way? Because it's when you are able to understand the whys that it's easy for you to dig yourself out of it. But if you are not even you've not been able to introspect and reflect correctly, it won't help you to process. You may end up understanding that yes, you are ashamed, you don't feel proud of yourself, but then it will end there. You will not be able to take necessary steps to come out, because it's not enough to have identified that, oh, this thing made me feel ashamed, this made me feel I'm not good enough. Then you need to take it a step further. How can I get better? How can I ensure that this does not swallow me up? And when you now make that, when you ask yourself that kind of question, and then you begin to come up with solutions, or maybe you need to speak to someone about it, because again, shame thrives in secrecy, you know, because you are embarrassed, you don't want to tell anybody. But the truth is, when you talk about it with a good person, yes, emphasis on good person, that's somebody who would empathize with you. What happens is the person is also able to um should I say make you calm down and see that it's not the end of the world, because that's what you really need, all the support and encouragement at that time, so that you are able to step out to the next phase. So you need that empathy, and you can only get it when you are able to be vulnerable with someone who would understand and not judge, so then also you also need to be kind to yourself. Oh yes, you made a mistake, but it's not the end of the world. Everybody makes mistakes. But the thing is, well, even after you have made a mistake, you should be able to rise up from it. I would also say at this point that a strong relationship with God is also helpful, because you see, sometimes people may not be able to talk about their feelings with a human being because they feel, oh, they will judge me. But if you get it right from your spiritual identity, you've had this conversation with God, and God is letting you know that, oh, my son died on the cross, Jesus, so that he can take away your shame, take away all that. So there's really nothing that is causing you shame today or will cause you shame tomorrow that hasn't already been taken care of. So it just helps to ground your identity that, okay, yeah, so even though I don't feel good enough, I don't feel at par, I feel embarrassed, that's not the end of my story. There is still more in front. Yes. So that spiritual support is also important. And then of course, being able to be vulnerable with your fellow human, talk through it, accept the kindness and empathy, and then willing to take steps. So if, for example, you realize that what caused you shame, because you didn't have enough knowledge, then you can actually do something about it. Go get knowledge. It's just as simple as that. So the reason we must introspect and reflect is because it helps us to identify where the problem is, and also identify the steps we need to take to come out of it.
Thank you so much. That's so
Sorry to me, you're frozen.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was if it was me.
I'm frozen. I'm unfrozen now, right? So
Yeah,
how
I'm
does shame happen?
frozen.
That question is to Titi. How does shame happen?
That one is the easiest question. Shame. I think there are three types. Uh, thank you. I think there are three types. There's a shame that comes about when you do something wrong. You know, so a man is caught cheating on his wife, and he's caught red-handed. So that's the shame that comes when you're caught doing something wrong. You're caught stealing, and it's brought out in the open. That's the shame that comes from doing something wrong. So that's the first type of shame. The second type of shame is from something that really you don't measure up, but it's due to no fault of yours. So let me give an example.
Association-based shame.
Yes. So
You're in a wedding where family members are
yes,
popping the
exactly.
champagne and you're not feeling up to it.
Yes,
You're not
you're
feeling.
not. Exactly. So you are going for. They've been going for, but you're not married, or all your friends are married in marriages, but you are single and you have a successful career. So the association tries to put you in shame, or you are a teacher, you're an educator, and it seems as if all your contemporaries have moved to greener pastures and it's only you in a particular place. It's a thing of shame. So it could be, or you've been a school owner for a few while. Meanwhile, some people that are school owners, so to speak, yesterday have more students, are calling higher fees, and you are still struggling. So it's a thing of shame. So some school owners have moved more into their purpose-built building while you are still struggling. So that's shame by I don't know what to say, shame by being, whereby you are ashamed because you've not achieved a particular milestone relative to the people that I don't know whether you're comparing yourself with or people are comparing you with. It's also the same thing of a woman who's been married for years and you don't have children. You feel ashamed when it's mother day and they say let all the mothers stand up in church. So those are the two. The third type of shame is the one that you how would I say it's not so much the one that is caused by the external factor, but the one that you yourself do, whereby you are ashamed of yourself.
Result/reputation.
So those are the types of shame, and like I said, some of them are by what we've done, and then some of them are by where we are or based on our results. So those are what causes I think that's what I would say.
All right, so fantastic. I like the fact that you were able to help us break it out, and really, as we begin to discover the types of shame, we also realize that this is sometimes how shame comes. Shame comes to people, and it also comes through people, right? And a lot of times it's also enshrined in our perception because, like we normally say, that our perception creates our reality. So there are certain things that we beat ourselves over and over again um, up about because we probably have had this kind of perception. And then I've come to realize that a lot of times, either because of the limitation or lack of understanding of knowing that there's support or there's repair available. Think about the one you talked about, Titi. You talked about shame that comes from doing something wrong. Most of the time, I've heard of a scenario where I think it was last year or so, I can't remember, where a particular pastor committed suicide because the church members discovered that he was watching porn. And that was something shameful, right? But he had to touch his life because he didn't make himself available for repair. And that sometimes is because of how society tends to just, grab people and eat them raw. And a lot of times I keep on hearing people talking about support structure. Let's talk about support structure now. How can this be enabled, not to make us pride in doing wrong, but to protect us? Because in the reality of life, one way or the other, the feeling or the experience of shame might be encountered. That question is to both Ugochi and Titi. So let's start with Ugochi and then we'll move to Titi.
So I'll say build your support structures before you need them. I think the problem a lot of people have is when they are in trouble, that's when they're not looking for who to speak with. And that is not the time to look for. That is actually the time to lean into what you created when there was no trouble. So build your support structures before you need them. As a human being, have good friends, invest in your friendships. And as you invest in your friendships, you are already doing a categorization. You know who is good at encouraging, you know who is good at praying, and you know who is good at bringing the business ideas. It's just in the course of interacting with your support, you will know who is who. So you categorize, you know where they are, so that the days when you are down, you don't even need to ask. Your support system will come for you, and they would make sure that you are okay until you are able to come through the whole situation. So no matter how bad it is, because the truth is, we need the kinds of friends and support system that even when what we did was bad, right? They would listen and not judge, because the world is already judging. So their presence in your life is not to judge. They won't just say, okay, yes, oh, the mistake happened. Yes, yes, yes. Don't worry, you will do better. There is hope. You can write, that is their job at that point, not to come and be reiterating that you did bad. Yes, we all know you did bad. I mean, whatever led to the shameful stuff, we all know it's already bad, right? Yes. So your support systems must be there before you need them. And this is why some people will go through the loss of a child, of a family member, a parent, a spouse, and they would fare better than some others in the same situation. It's not because the loss was not bad. It's just that their support systems came through for them. So at this point in your life, when there's nothing going wrong, this when you've got to be intentional about pouring into your friendships, knowing who is who, invest, because friendships, good friendships, good support system thrives on reciprocity. So it's just like when you give somebody a compliment, they also just want to say something nice to you. They just want to do something nice back to you. So it's the same thing here. If you are there for your support system in their own downtime, when you are in your downtime, they just want to do something for you. It's just a natural cause. And I'll keep emphasizing good support system, because I know that some people have bad friends that just want to take, and they don't give. And that's why early on you must categorize the people within your support system. Who is good at prayer? Some people can pray, but they don't know how to comfort you. Some people know how to comfort you, but they are not prayer warriors. It's true. Then we have those that are the mix of everything. I'm telling you. Sorry to be laughing. It's true. It's true. So categorize your support system and then know where to lean into when you are facing those your downtimes, because you need people to come out of it. Yes, God is there, but then God also walks through people. You need somebody that you'd wake up in the morning that day when you're just drained and feeling it's all over, and then you receive a voice note speaking into your life, praying over you. Another person is maybe buying food and bringing. I know you are not eating. Eat this one. All those things come together to make someone come out of these things. So I'll stop there. Sorry to me is laughing. I'm not a comedian, I think.
Okay, so Titi, over to you. Titi,
I think yes, I'm here. I'm just trying to, I think Safety Chick has said it in a nutshell. So what I'm trying to now do is look for practical experiences in my own personal life when you've had a reason to be ashamed. Because when there's shame, especially the one that, I mean, there can be different ones. So let's look at a student. A student is asked to repeat a class. When you're asked to repeat a class, it's like, it kind of breaks you. It breaks you because, your mates move ahead. It breaks you because everybody knows. It's something that it's an obvious thing of shame. It's an obvious thing of shame in the sense that that everybody would know. Why? Because when you move to the other class, when you don't move to the other class, the younger ones that remember that you are, you are higher would know. So it's an open shame. I know my time my son has come back and said, "Oh, mommy, that boy, he used to be in this class, but now he's now in my class." How much more the person that is in that, it needs support. You know, I'm just trying to make it. It needs support of the family. It needs support of the school, because the people in that class that he's in need to know, need to help him overcome, need to help him quickly settle down. You know, his friends in the class that he left also need to support him to quickly recognize that it's, you know, it's okay. It's okay. You're still our friend, you know. And you know what? Because you already know it a bit more than these people, you will to do better than them. So it requires support to overcome it. It requires a personal, someone that on a personal level keeps on, has taken that child under their wings to keep encouraging him. You can do it. It doesn't matter, you know, stories, reminding them of stories of failure and shame that turned around to be stories of success. So it's the same thing as Safety Chick has said, which is about the support system. Let's say you're a school owner, you know, and you look at it that you've been at building this school for 10 years and you're still struggling. Meanwhile, someone else has built their own school in less time, and their school seems to be the one that is being celebrated. You know, and then you go into, let's say, an association where you're all at, and you feel ashamed. It's the same thing. You need a support system that helps you through it. One helps you look through the shame, and the next thing helps you come out of the thing that is making you ashamed. The person can look at your school and say, you know what, this and this are some of the things that you need to do. This and these are the things that you need to, and it's building up your confidence, because you know that a lot of this thing starts with you. You internalizing it, you being able to see the success, you being able to walk out of it, you being able to put your head up pending when you really come into your place of success. So it's that support. Safety Chick has said, I'm just trying to bring it down. It's the same thing. You're in a career, you're a teacher, and you just look at yourself and say, I've been a teacher for so long, and it's like I've not achieved anything. Meanwhile, my friend we started together, she's now a school owner. Meanwhile, I'm still in this school earning, when we friends gather, I feel ashamed. Or you are a teacher, your friends, you all went to university with your friends, and your friends are, one works in the bank, one works in an oil company, people are working in different places. And then when you meet, you feel ashamed. So with each of these people is having someone, a support system that can be someone, that can be church, there's God, there's a lot of things that help you overcome that feeling first, and then helps you overcome in terms of the action steps that you need to take to go from that place of shame to a place of triumph. And I will encourage everybody, interestingly, yesterday I was listening to Cosmos Maduka, the owner and founder of Coscaris, and he talked about from shame to triumph. He talked about his story of going from someone that was a trader, uneducated, to who he is now. So you need support. I think that's what I'm just trying to point out.
And thank you for what you just said. But you know how these things play out. Sometimes a lot of people think support has to be something so big in nature, so formalized. Sometimes, and I don't know if you agree with me. Sometimes you find support in the little things, almost everyday things, just like even having a conversation on the phone, just having a commitment on WhatsApp chat, just probably even agreeing that once every month, you and your friends will meet up to just have conversations, because the conditioning matters. A lot of people feel pressure to show up and also to show off. And that pressure sometimes, and you find out a lot of, I don't know, maybe I'm sure you definitely belong to some of the alumni groups and all those things. A lot of people are very silent, not because they're conservative and busy, but they can't find themselves in the mix. And once they begin to feel invincible in that crowd, that system that is actually designed to be a support now becomes a wall against support. You understand? And sometimes people just feel intolerant of other people, especially because of their own pace of progress. You know, how do we deal with such reality, especially when your motive was to gravitate towards that to gain support, and you're now finding that, or you're feeling the vibes that it's almost like it's not going to happen.
So if
Hello,
I
Titi,
get
are
you
you there?
correctly,
Yeah, I won't say I wasn't sure of the question, but
Okay, yeah. Go to
I
ask
think
the
Sesi
question.
wanted to explain it. Explain your question.
so, oh, no, I
So,
even
Titi,
wanted
are
to
you
seek clarification. Can you hear me, please?
okay? Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to seek clarification. I wanted to say that are you asking that if we are seeking support from someone and then we gravitate toward them and then we realize they're not giving us the support, the next thing we're supposed to do, right?
Well, that's part of the question. It's almost like three layers within that question. That is part of it. I'm trying to say that how do we get to, number one, deal with the reality that um, finding that support doesn't have to be so structured or so
Mm,
formalized. And
mm,
in the time of building what is perceived as structure, we lose energy, dissipate progress because it's so incubation. You know, I know that safety chick is not just a colleague to me. Safety chick is a friend, and I qualify your friendship, for example. So I don't think we needed to have done an association of. You get what I'm trying to say? Before we can actually support each other. Titi and I, we have
yes.
conversations, and every time I have conversations with Titi, whether she's teasing me or joking or we're talking or having a short conversation, it's always something that I look forward to. It's always a support one way or the other. And that conversation becomes the conditioning where maybe she talked about something or she called about something. And I say, wait, before you hang up, I have this question to ask you. How do you do this? How do you do this? And you find out that that's support, right? How do we
Yes.
get that
Yes, I
culture?
agree.
And you know, when we promote that culture, when we find ourselves invisible within the crowd of support, what do we do?
Okay, I get you now. Okay, so yes, I agree with you that support is not necessarily structured. And in fact, if we look at our current network of friends, colleagues, would realize that there is someone there that is just available to listen, answer our questions, give an advice, and all that. And it's not as if maybe there was an association. Now, of course, it is true that there are also support structures that are formalized. So, for example, somebody going through violence, gender-based violence in her marriage, and at some point she will need a formal structure of where other survivors are giving the tips how to make it up so that she sees that it is possible to actually come out of that situation. So there is a place for that, but the informal one is actually the one that everybody should strive to have. Like, just look within your network, you would find that there is this friend, or maybe there's this church member, or there's this colleague that every time you speak with them, you always live with something. Your questions get answered. They support you. So that is it. So we're not expecting it to be that, oh, maybe the person must be your best friend to be able to achieve that. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The person you just would realize, and that's why a good degree of self-awareness is very important. You realize that every time I speak to this person, I always feel refreshed. I feel energized. I get encouraged. It makes me long to build my relationship with God, or it makes me take practical steps, or it gives me practical advice on how to manage certain situations in my life. Yeah, so we've got to be observant. Then, if you realize that you are in a support system or a structure, but you are not getting what you want, then I think you need to reevaluate. Are you actually in a support system? Are you actually in one? Now, if you think you are, is it possible that maybe there is a way you are positioning yourself that is making you not to draw the comfort that you need? Because again, sometimes we have people who are in friendships and they act self-sufficient, like they have it all covered. And if you act like you have it all covered, the other person might not even know that you need help. So I think again, that's where being knowing where to be vulnerable comes in. So you know that, okay, um I'm not really doing so good, and this my friend has this area covered. How about I just come out honest and tell the friend that, oh, this is how I feel. I will need your support. I will need your advice. Because many times, until you come up to be vulnerable, they may not say anything, because there are two things. Sometimes people don't want to intrude in people's personal spaces. So if you don't give the invitation for them to come in, they will not. Focus, we have those that whether you give them invitation or not, they will barge in. But sometimes people wait for the invitation because they don't want to assume that things are not right, and then to be that they spoke out of turn. So you've got to be the one to reevaluate. But now, if after you've sought the support and you are seeing that you are not getting it, then maybe you also need to ask yourself, how else can I get this support? I think I always like to say that people should reevaluate their network, because sometimes some of our friends, the people we have in our network, they can do something more for us, but we don't know, because maybe we only use them to gossip, we only use them to hang out, we don't use them for things that can benefit us. So look with you and say, how can I this friendship of mine, how else can it be useful? Reevaluate your network. So you would find that, oh, maybe this person that maybe you only just hang out with is actually doing great in his career or in the way he manages his family. And you feel that, okay, I can get something here. Then you begin to chip those kinds of questions into your hangout. Well, what do you think about this? How better can I do this? Now, because they have an existing rapport with you, it's easier for them to share because they don't see it as a big deal. But if you have not reevaluated your network, you won't even know that you can actually get this from the person. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
So much. So Titi, I'm going to quickly twist that question as we bring this to a conclusion. And Titi, can you talk a little bit about the power of praise? And when I say praise, I'm not saying praise and worship, but the use of praise. Because sometimes you begin to listen and think about it. I know that the reason a lot of people dread math is because of the results that they have, or because of the result people have had, people who have failed maths. So that failure has been so magnified. But a lot of people are making attempts within the class before the continuous assessment, before the exam, or before the external exams. There seems to be no form of praise. And that praise sometimes is like fuel, fuel to kind of propel people to do more, And I noticed, Titi, you mentioned a little bit that, even families have to get involved, How do we get to use praise as a tool to help people deal with?
Thank you, Rotimi. Rotimi, what you call praise, I would rephrase it to call it motivation. And I'll tell you, when you have and that's really the role teachers play in the classroom. Beyond teaching, is the ability to motivate the child to see that they can do something even before they can do it. And once you can unlock that, you will find that then they can do it. It's the same thing when a parent is teaching a child to ride bicycle. You know how that was, oh no, mommy, I'm going to fall. Yes, the child is going to fall, but you're like, no, you can do it. You remember you did this. That's we call it you can call it praise, but I would like to call it as motivation. Everyone needs that person that believes in you enough to let it propel you to then become that thing. I remember one of the discussions we had before was the fact that you have to think it first. As a man thinks, so is he. When you think doesn't mean you're there already. It's that person allows you to see a lion so that you can become a lion. And that's really what the place of that praise comes in, because it always has to start with self-belief. It always has to start with that. So when someone is praising you, the person is trying to motivate the potential that's in you to succeed, in you to overcome the shame, in you to raise your head high. Because the moment you can do that, it unlocks everything else you need to do. But the moment you know what we call self-limiting belief, the moment you have that self-limiting belief, you really cannot be more than your belief. Remember that quote I gave of Henry Ford: if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So we all everything that we are doing in the people that we relate with, whether it's our students in class, whether it's the fellow teachers, whether it's your fellow friends, everybody that you relate to, that's what you're trying to do. You keep trying to unlock that thing through praise and motivation to let them know they can be. And the moment you can, that thing is unlocked, then there's no limit. So when a school owner is talking to the teachers and saying, you know what, don't mind that school, yes, they've done, but you guys, I know I have the team behind me to do that. And beyond the, motivates that teacher. Yes, technology is hard, but you know what? We've been using our phone. Guys, you did it during lockdown. We can you get so it's that thing. We must, do it consciously, consistently, all the time. And I'll give a very funny example. So I was trying to get my son to do, I think I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I was trying to get my son to do better in class. And then I had some past exams papers that I showed him. So when he saw the script of the person that did it, he was like, no, nobody can get this. It's only her. And that she's a super brain, that kind of thing. And then I kept on motivating. I said, no, you understand, all it takes is this, because I want him to get to that level, because he felt, nobody could get all A's, in your results. Saying, no, mom, is impossible. But I then sat down, because of what I did was really to motivate him, let him know that he could. And then with every baby step, we had a celebration, showing you that he could. And then the day he made it there, I showed him. I said, can you see it? You've made it. He was then excited. And immediately that happened, it then became that there was no limit. So, but it starts with, I remember when he told me, Mommy, I can't. Nobody can. And then, there was a time I said, what about it? He did accept in English. And he said, oh, Mom, even this person didn't get all A's in this English, still bring it back that. But I said, no, it's the same process. So everyone, our role as leaders in whatever, leaders and friends, leaders, friends, parents, that's our role. That's the role the coach does. That's all a coach does. A coach, beyond letting them do exercises, is trying to build that self-belief that you can do more. Okay, back to you, Rotimi.
Thank you so much. And you kind of brought it a nice platform where you are able to get people to understand that we need to get them to see how they can do more. Shame has a crippling effect. It has negative effects. Some people have killed themselves, committed suicide because of shame. Some people have stopped friendship because of shame. Some people are so quick, to point accusation fingers or accusing fingers to people just because of shame. Shame has done a lot of blow to careers that are emerging. But you see, one of the things that people must understand, whether the shame is the first type of shame that Titi mentioned, which has to do with things that you shouldn't have done, or has to do with the results that you have based on the things you're doing, or the shame actually comes as a result of you not measuring up, but it's not really your fault. The truth about it is, regardless of the type of shame, there's always a way out. And you must begin to seek better things and better ways to ensure. And one of the fantastic things we've discovered on the show today is that a support structure is a guaranteed way to find measures to dealing with shame and probably also overcoming shame. And like Ugochi said, please, we must be conscious and deliberate to building that support structure, leaning on such support structures before the day of support, more or less like because sometimes the pressure of when you need it, you might still be dealing with getting to get that kind of onboarding experience to the person. It might be too much to ask in a short period of time. But I'm sure that a lot of times people that you call friends, if they know the reason for the friendship and they align with your kind of values, they can be a cover to you, just like an insurance company will sell cover or sell security and protection. Your friends are protection to your colleagues, true colleagues are protection. Your coach is a protection. Your mentor is a protection. Do you know that yourself, you yourself and I, that kind of concept, your mind is a protection, and ultimately your God is a protection. I'm afraid that this is where we're going to shut down, or better still, draw the curtains on this conversation. And so I'm just going to ask Ugochi and Titi to just give their parting shots as we end the show today, dealing with shame. Ugochi, over to you. Parting shots.
Okay, so I'll just say that there is nothing that is so shameful that you can never come out of it. So don't stay there. Don't stay stuck in that shameful place. Come out of it and get in touch with your support system. Look around. If you're not even sure who your support system is, your assignment today is look within your network, your current friends, family members, colleagues, people you talk to regularly. Which of those relationships can you repurpose so that you build your support structure before you need it?
Like that. Titi?
What I want to say is all of us have been through shame. I'm not sure there's anybody in life that wouldn't have gone through shame. But what I would say is that it doesn't have to be your final bus stop. It doesn't have to be the one that says this is your story. You can come out of it. That you can come out of it. Make up your mind that it's happened. It's shameful. But you can come out of it, and then look for people that can help you come out of it. Forgive yourself. It's also important that you forgive yourself if you are the one that caused the shame. I mean, it happens even to the best of people. So we've all been through shame. We've all been through things that we did that were shameful, things that we did that we regretted, or just shame for what we felt we've not achieved. But in the end, we have a different story today. And that's because we did not allow the shame define us. We came out of it, we put our head up high. And it's a different story today. Thank you.
Well, that's a powerful way to end the show today. This is the Good Morning Education Show. Shout out to those who joined us. Thank you for those who joined us for the first time. BYD, thank you. Joanne, Teaser, thank you for joining us. So many people who didn't say anything, but they joined us. Thank you for joining. Thank you for connecting. I know that today's show is for someone, and if you don't mind, you could also share the video and tell people about the show. Tell them to watch this episode. It's going to lift some people up. It's going to bring some people back to their career. It's going to cause a springboarded effect to the thing that they're going to do this week, this month, the rest of the year, and into the next year. Please, whatever happens to you, whatever you're going through, you do not have any right to touch your life. And I believe that if it's shameful, if it's full of shame, if it's shame-filled, the truth about it is that you can also get people who could help you. You could get support structures, like they said, who could help you. But start by helping yourself, by understanding. It's not over until you win. So we're going to see you tomorrow. And remember, like we always say on the Good Morning Education Show, it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Thank you for joining today, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.